gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to a Monday edition of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Monday, February 10th, the day after the Super Bowl, a day that should be a national holiday. Everyone should be at home, recovering from a day of eating and football. But luckily, I'm working, so we have a good show to get to. Coming up on today's show, we have Pat Anger moments away to talk about the Super Bowl this weekend and this bet of ours that's getting way out of control that we got to kind of fine-tune, figure out, and kind of move forward with. We'll talk about that in just a second. Also, when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, I think of my good friend Julian Vandervelde, former Eagle, will join us in hour number 2, probably around 11 o'clock, to talk about the Eagles, Cooper DeJean, and a boatload more. Also, an announcement from my alma mater this past weekend. Varsity football will be back at Alleman in 2025. So head coach of the Pioneers, Jeff Schmulbach, joined me this weekend, came in studio. We recorded an interview. We'll have that for you coming up in just a little bit. And also Braden Freeman, my favorite Freeman, the little brother, of course, to Owen Freeman, also a senior at Moline, scored his 1,000th point. So we'll talk to him about that milestone, Western Big Six basketball, Moline, and a whole bunch more. But we start the week, our Monday, like we always do, with what I like to call Iowa's best friend, Pat Anger. How are you?
I think Cooper
today?
DeJean is everyone's best friend right now.
How great was that?
Dude, he's amazing. He's so good.
Yeah.
He's so good at football.
Yeah. It'd be awesome to be.
He reminds me a lot of a young me, just the way he's athletic and smart. It just reminds me so much of me.
And hair. He's got a lot of hair, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. You know what's sad, Pat, is that you joke, but I can't fathom doing anything that good in my life ever. You played in the NFL, so I know while you're joking, you're at least he's so much better than me in everything in life that it's just it's cool to see. It's really cool to see how good he's doing. How are you doing? Are you in the mansion?
No. I'm in the east side of Deeport here today. I'm just hanging out.
As an
NFL player, due to the players union, and the lockout and all that stuff, you do have the day off as a professional football player. The day after the Super Bowl, it's in writing. So
it is, or it's kind of in writing. It's implied.
I mean, you can write anything down
with a crayon, with a pencil, with a pen, a Sharpie, whatever. It all works.
Hard part with crayons is try not to eat them. That's the hard part for me.
They're delicious.
All these beautiful colors.
They're just delicious.
That's why I don't have any glue in this house anymore.
Makes sense. It makes sense. How was your weekend? We'll get to the Super Bowl in a second, but how was Pat Anger and the Anger family weekend?
It was good. I had to coach a little basketball on Saturday.
Why?
Yeah.
Who died?
The head coach, he had to go.
He died?
Went to one of his daughter's games. No, he did not die.
Okay,
he went to his daughter's game.
So
it was weird. I don't know anything about basketball. Obviously, I can shoot better than you, but my thing was hey, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to try hard. We're going to be tough. And so I'm we're pressing. And luckily, there was a coach there that knows what he was doing. So he was able to draw stuff up. And the kids were "What are we? 1-3-1, 2-3, 2-3, 3-2? What kind of press?" I'm I don't know. Just guard the guy. What are you asking me for? Just be aggressive.
Go get the ball.
That's all I want.
C-ball,
it's not that hard.
Ball.
Yeah. I mean, geez, we're just blitzing every play. That's all I want to do.
And you know better than that because Phil Parker didn't have you guys blitz every play. Come on. You got to be disciplined.
They blitz a lot more with Phil now than they did with Coach Norm. Yeah, we barely blitzed, but when we did, it was really cool.
What grade are you coaching?
No,
weekend?
this was just a one. This
I
was
get
just
it,
a
but
one
what
day
grade
thing.
was it? What
Yeah.
did you do?
It was 7th grade.
How did you do?
Won the first one big, and then
I can only imagine
were-
how arrogant you were after that first win.
yeah, as you could imagine, yes. But then we played a team that's really good, Muscatine team, really good. They got a big kid. He's awesome. We were winning the game,
Uh-oh.
and then I think with a couple seconds left, it was tied. We turned it over, fouled them, and they made it. We had chances to win the game, but we missed some free throws. You got to make those free throws, man.
You know, if
So
you lose close games, Pat, you know what they say?
it's all coaching.
It is coaching.
Yeah, but I don't know anything. Just
Yeah.
so then because we pressed the whole time, we had to play back. We had the third game. We had to play back to back. So our kids were smoked. They were so tired.
So the third game wasn't good?
No, they were tired, and that's that's something that I learned. Hey, you just can't sprint up and down for the whole game. But
Who beat you in the third
they
game?
played hard. Assumption team, and it's a lot of guys that a lot of parents that I know, and a lot of people I like. So it wasn't when you play these teams that it's kind of a win-win, right? You want their guys to do good, but you want to beat them. But hey, if they win, it's all good.
Hold on, we got a group text. I think is Gervas and Joe on a group text of ours. They both went to Assumption, didn't they?
I got a new phone. I just know those guys never made it to state in football.
And we reminded of that over and over. Hey, what I'm going to do one of these days is I'm going to do best rivalries in high school sports in the Quad Cities. I'm going to do a little segment on it. Is your biggest rival PV? Is it PV or is it Assumption?
It's PV. I mean, especially now, Assumption's not in our division, but you got to beat us in order to have it be a rivalry. So I wouldn't say Assumption's really much of a rivalry.
North Scott and Bettendorf used to be a little bit of rivalry, but then what I've heard is Bettendorf's afraid to play Kevin Tippett. That's what I was told in an interview.
Well, maybe they'll play him now that Tippett's not there
Maybe
anymore.
Tippett's gone. Tippett told me he's done. He's done playing. He's like, well, Rusty's scared of me. Aaron's scared of me. Now that he's done, he can say whatever he wants. He doesn't have to worry about it. So it was a beautiful
He's
thing.
got every right to. He's earned it.
I'll tell you what, Pat, my weekend was miserable.
Yeah. Tell me about it,
Awful.
man. I heard you got all your kids sick.
My entire family with my wife out of town just started dropping like flies. And of course we have this grand idea and plan to have a Super Bowl get together with all these families. And it just wasn't going to happen. And so I have kids puking everywhere throughout different kids, different times. And then I don't know if you know this, or I may have told you, but if you hear any loud rumbling going on at my house, the Roto-Rooter guy is over right now, because I'm not going to call out which kid it is, but one of my kids likes to clog the toilet. Not likes to. I don't think he does it on purpose. I don't think he goes in there and says haha, I'm going to.
Yeah.
But so now we're in the process of getting pipes unclogged, and it's been a gross weekend. I didn't get to, we canceled the Super Bowl party. We didn't have much food. It was disappointing. What did you eat yesterday?
It's tough when you have that expensive toilet paper, right? The extra thick, the top shelf stuff. You got to buy the cheap stuff. It just goes down the drain a lot quicker.
We just use cloth and then we recycle it and wash it again. We can't afford to be buying toilet paper every single day. Are you kidding me? I don't know what kind of Bettendorf money you think we have, but we can't do that kind of nonsense. My God. So so it was an uneventful Super Bowl.
So you didn't eat your little weenies or your meatballs or anything like that? You didn't?
Nothing. My weenies weren't wrapped in bacon. Nobody got to eat them. My balls were uneaten. I have them. At least I have them still. They're downstairs in the fridge. Despite what you may say, they're not in my wife's purse. Yeah, easy. Yeah. They're not in my wife's purse. They're actually in the refrigerator downstairs. I'm gonna have to. You know what? The good thing is,
I always those things out.
I always say to myself after the Super Bowl is when I stop eating like crap and I start working out and I start getting back into shape, because like it's February, man. And like you can only wear your Lions sweatshirt so much longer. Eventually like the sun comes out and it gets warm. So, and I feel like I usually just go off the rails for the Super Bowl and then I start back again. I feel like I got like a 5-day head start. So that's the plus of it.
Sweatshirt season's the best for a fat guy. It's the absolute best.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I'm to the point now where I'll wear the short sleeve like pullovers at baseball games just because like I need to, because I'm 45 and fat.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. Sometimes the wind goes a different direction. The shirt just sticks to your belly. That's not good, man. I've been there before, dude. It's tough.
Can we talk about dry fit? Why does every shirt have to be dry fit? Why do you have to put, like, I don't need to be putting on for golf. Is there a golf shirt that I can wear anymore that I don't look like a pudgy 45-year-old little man, balding old man?
Maybe that's what we start. Maybe that's what we do.
It's $1 billion.
You know what bugs
idea.
me is like these clothes are getting smaller. Like shorts are super short, right? You go to Dick's or whatever, you got to buy shorts. They're super short, but they're all like $100 more expensive than they used to be. And we used to wear the long stuff, and that was cool back in the day. I don't understand it, man.
No, there's
Gosh.
the older you get, Pat, the worse it gets, man. Like if you have something right now that you like, go buy like 10 of them and store them someplace. Because like I like warm-ups or sweatpants that like don't have elastic at the bottom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just they don't exist anymore.
No.
You go to a
That's
store
too bad.
and everybody has like, it's rough. I like how it's the Monday after Super Bowl. We're 15 minutes in and we're just a bunch of old angry men complaining about food and clothes and being sick. Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I did. I watched it.
And your thoughts?
I honestly, I really enjoyed the game. It reminded me a little bit of, and not that I wasn't really rooting for either team. I wanted Cooper to do well and I wanted them to win. And, that was awesome. But it reminded me of when the Chiefs played the Bucks in the Super Bowl when Tom Brady won, I want to say.
Yeah.
And they got after him. They got after Mahomes. And that's really, I mean, that D-line won the game. That D-line was super. What they have, 6.5 sacks, something like that.
Yeah.
That was really cool to see, man. And it's harder. Hey, just get pressure on Mahomes, right? It's a lot easier said than done. And they did great. And the Chiefs really. I thought the Eagles were going to have success running the ball, and they really did. And the Chiefs really did a good job stopping it. But Jalen Hurts really stepped up. And you think about him and his career. I mean, he got benched in college. In the national championship game. Dude, what an easy time for him to be like, hey, I'm done. I'm quitting.
Yeah.
But he kept fighting and he's making himself a nice little career and I'm happy for him. And I know it wasn't a close game. It was not a game that, halfway through, one of my buddies was here and he's like, I got Chiefs 15.5. Think I can do it? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. That's an easy bet. And it got close there toward the end. But if you would have, said, hey, Chiefs 15.5, with even odds prior to the game, probably would have bet the house on it, right?
Yeah, I may have.
It's weird.
I may have been on that. Was it Fick? Did Fick make that bet?
No, Fick did not make that bet. No.
Okay, because
Fick had some good bets though. He showed me some yesterday. He did all right.
I done good, Pat. I did real good, but one of them was the 16.5 at halftime, just because he didn't think like.
That's a no-brainer, right?
And here's the crazy thing: they almost got back to it. Like they lost by 18. Like it almost backdoored you and covered you. Be careful about backdooring you. Just they covered it almost at the very end. I'll be gentle and nice and don't get myself in trouble. But yeah, like I lost. I won a lot of. I just kept doubling down. I was doing what some buddies was doing. They were texting me, and they're geniuses. They're absolute geniuses. But they just kept going with the trend. Like we were betting first quarter and kept doubling down and all that kind of stuff. And it was really good. No, you mentioned the front four. They got so many sacks, 6, 7, whatever it was. And you mentioned Phil never blitzed. Pat, like Philly never blitzed.
Norm
never blitzed. Yeah. Philly never blitzed. Like they were getting home with their front four. We'll talk actual football X's and O's, which is rare to do on the show with you sometimes. But how beneficial is that when you're getting that type of pressure with just the front four dudes? You're not going to have to bring other people.
Well, it's I mean, it's so huge because you get the quarterback on the run, right, and then you can have everybody back there covering. And I thought the back end did a good job too. I mean, obviously there were a couple toward the end where they hit, but they were basically playing prevent. They were giving it up. But no, and I thought the back end did a good job too. Like even when they didn't get pressure on them, they covered them for that extra second that the D line needed to get there, and you could tell too that Mahomes was pretty shook on it initially. I mean, they were really aggressive right away, that front four, and it got in Mahomes' head, right? He got a little happy feet and was throwing the ball around, and then and he got hit right before he threw it to Cooper. And what I loved about Cooper's interception too is, first of all, is his vision was great. His vision was perfect. He stayed square. He didn't drift too far back. Really good job there. And then his return. D linemen were down there blocking, like on the 2 yard line, like playing their ass off. And it just seemed, and I know it's easy to say, like, well, the Eagles wanted it more, but I think they had more fight. I think they just had more toughness and in that game, and they were ready to freaking go, man.
Talk to me about Cooper, because you go to social media and like it's just 4 letters and it's Coop and it's like all over the place and everybody's loving it. To see what that guy did, and we've talked before the Super Bowl how important he was to that Iowa defense, but you obviously have my dream was to have that pick 6 in the Super Bowl be from Jack Campbell instead of from Cooper DeJean, and we could be talking about it today as well. But when he got into the lineup after being hurt a little bit during the season, but when he got in there and playing every single day and every Sunday, that defense became an elite defense. It's hard to make that type of impact as a rookie, and he did it. I gotta let the dog out.
I gotta let the dog out.
Oh no, I gotta stretch.
Gotta let the dog out.
I gotta stretch. I'm good.
Right.
I'm good, Pat. I got this.
There you go.
I got this. I got this.
Hey, Cooper DeJean is not a safety.
Have you heard that?
He is a corner. Oh, dude, my kid's been singing that for forever.
I was going to download it. I'll put it up later in the show as well. But honestly, like, he proved a lot of people wrong. Is your dog good, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, he'll come back and scratch on the door.
Where's your door? Like, how did you get to the door? My goodness.
I'm in the sunroom.
All right. I don't know. I just have one room in my house, so I don't have a sunroom.
You have a mansion. I will post your appraisal here in about an hour.
That's illegal. It has to be illegal, right? Please tell me that's illegal.
I'm sure it is.
Like, talk about the impact he made as a rookie. It's hard to do. And especially with the doubters that said he's a safety and he's a white guy playing cornerback and all that kind of stuff. It was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it was great. And I don't know necessarily if he was there to prove the doubters wrong. He's there to prove himself right. And obviously anybody that's watched him play for however many years at Iowa, not surprised at all. I mean, the guy is really, really good at football and really smart kid, super athletic, and did a good job, as well on punt returns. I know he didn't really break any, but made some good catches, made the right decision every single time, gained yards every time he got the ball. Just a tough, hard-nosed kid. And, as a guy that played at Iowa, like it's super happy to see guys from Iowa have success, and especially when they're good dudes like Coop.
Do you know Cooper at all? Because you weren't the voice of the Hawk. And I don't want to say that. You weren't the color analyst.
Thank you. I'm not the voice.
Because Dolph is the voice of the Hawkeyes. And you yelled at me about that. I don't think I had been doing it, but I just want to double check. I don't want you to yell at me again. But you weren't the color analyst for his senior season. So how much do you know? Have you met? All that kind of stuff.
We got a text group with, some guys, and Lon always sets it up because he wants, basically it started with me and Josie because Lon wanted Jack to get introduced to how, crazy guys talk and how guys in the NFL would talk. So then they added Cooper into that. And mainly it's just me and Lon talking because all those other guys are busy doing NFL football stuff. But no, I mean, I don't even know if I've met Coop in person, to be honest with you. But he's my best friend.
I don't think that like they're that busy. They're not doing one of the most popular, fastest rising sports shows in the Quad Cities right now. So let's be honest.
Great point.
So they thought it was a good idea. Somebody said, Coop's got a good future in the NFL. Let's get him with Pat Anger and have him mentor him. Not mentor him, but prepare him. That sounds like a horrible idea.
Well, I mean, you saw what happened to George. So I'm just saying.
Are you taking credit for George Kittle right now?
Well, I did. I had a little talk with George, just like a 10-second conversation with George when I was back training. Back when I was done playing, I was helping out in the weight room with Coach Doyle and the strength staff. And Kittle came up to me. He's like, "Hey, what changed for you?" And at that time, Kittle wasn't really playing, was dealing with injuries, and I think there was some maturity stuff there. And I kind of had a similar career as well too. Like I didn't really start until my junior year, and had a lot of stuff that I had to grow up and grow into. And really, the basis of my conversation was, well, if you want to be good at football, make it the most important thing in your life, and stop doing dumb shit. And changed his life. Now he's the greatest tight end of all time.
I don't know right now if you're being bullshit or not.
I'm not.
Would George say you saved his life? You changed his life?
I tell you what, George did, and I didn't even realize this conversation had any impact on him. And George was doing an interview, I think, with McAfee or somebody, and had mentioned that.
No way.
And it's funny. It's funny sometimes in your life, like I could give my kids advice, right? Or my parents could give me advice, and somebody could come up to me and tell me the same thing that my parents are saying, but just at that moment, right? And at that time, it just clicks. And sometimes you got to kind of hear it from an outside source, and obviously somebody that's been there and that's dealt with it.
That's amazing. Like, I thought you were going
You're
on
amazing.
a little rant about like something that wasn't true, but that actually, I feel like I'm on a show where like, is Pat lying or telling the truth? But I believe you. I believe you. You mentioned Pat McAfee. Does it piss you off that like he says everything that you text to your buddies on national TV and he's famous because of it?
No, it doesn't piss me off, Pat. Not surprised at all that Pat had this much success so early. And guy's a good dude, and he's hilarious, and he was a really good teammate. And I was his personal protector for 4 years in the NFL. Well, maybe 3 years, I think. So I got to spend a lot of time with Pat, a lot of time with Vinny, which Vinny got screwed on the Hall of Fame. That was bull. He should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't understand why Adam Vinatieri, the greatest kicker of all time, was not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but whatever.
I like it. And now you're getting fired up. Now you're doing some stuff right now. You're a little slow going on a Monday. Now you're ready to rock. You're putting people in the Hall of Fame.
Well, you just talk about your sick kids all the time. I had to spice this thing up.
Yeah, you had to get through my drama. I apologize. Did you watch any commercials?
I mean, they were on. I don't know. I didn't really pay too much attention to them, to be honest with you. I tell you what, Drake really had a tough day for a guy not being there. That was tough for him.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Exactly. Did you watch any commercial?
I mean, I watched them, but we were talking and
have you gone back? I didn't really watch. I'm that guy too, where like I don't. It's been a while since somebody's been like, shh. That's what used to happen.
Yeah.
They're like, shh. Let's watch the commercial. So I don't. But before I went to bed last night, I caught one. It was a Bud Light one with Shane Gillis, and I love Shane Gillis. Yeah, have you
he's
seen
great.
He's fantastic, and it's about a cul-de-sac where they bring the party to the cul-de-sac. When you're done here, go watch it. You'll chuckle. It's Pat Anger
Okay.
humor at its fine. Did I mention
I
you
like
last
chuckling.
week about the coin toss?
Yeah, and it hit tails. Your wife went heads, right?
Yeah. Is that
Yeah.
it's almost impossible, right?
Well, here's the thing. What she needs to just do is just pick the same thing every year, and she would have better luck.
You would think that, but I mean, it's cute, really, because she'll be like, she waits, and I'll be like, hey, in the morning, like, hey, what do you want, heads or tails? And she's always like, I can't rush it. And so finally, like, she texted me. She's like, it's going to be heads. Not like I want you to bet heads, or it's going to be heads. And she was going to get a pizza for my sick family, because that's what we are, is sick. And like, she came home and she just walked in. She goes, it didn't happen, did it? I'm like, death, taxes, and you messing up this. And I would be really, really frustrated with her, except for the fact that like I have everything I have because of her. So like one bet a year, I can't really get too upset with.
Yeah, and you've never lost a bet, so it's not a big deal.
Never. But that's really hard to do. Like you said, you can sit there right now and 16 times and flip a coin. And if you just take the same thing every time, you're probably going to win. I don't know. What are the odds? 50-50? You know,
Are you? Yeah.
like literally, but not her. So the best part was on Twitter. I put it on Twitter, and people were sending me their bet receipts of fading Jen and how this person won $100, this person won $100. I got like 3 text messages of like, your wife's the best. Let me know earlier next year, all that kind of stuff. It was a lot of fun. So, oh, Pat's
still here.
again. No, you're good. Let's see the dog. Bring the dog over here.
Bobo, come here. Come here, Bo. Come here.
What is
Come
it?
here. Look at this little guy.
Oh boy. Is that a mini golden doodle?
I don't know. It's a Shih Tzu Poodle Bichon mix. My wife's like, "What's the most expensive dog?"
Don't curse on my show.
My wife said, "What's the most expensive dog we could buy?" And we got him.
Is he is not a puppy?
He's not. He's like 4. Alexa, stop talking. Jeez.
I hate hanging out in my mansion with my dog and my Alexa starts talking. It's the worst on a Monday.
Well, it's just basically the CIA listening to us. So that's all it is.
He's a good dog.
He's a good boy.
Yeah, he's a good dog. I'll tell you what, people's going to see him and you're going to have to bring him on every week. You'll be there in the office. Hey, I don't want to blame IH because they're fantastic. I bank there and everything, but they're not a sponsor. They could be, but they're not a sponsor. Could be.
Yeah. Well, you know who handles that stuff.
Oh no.
Me. So yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah, I'm screwed big time. But your internet is fantastic there in whatever part of Davenport you're in. Like it's much better than what a normal Monday is. So
thanks,
I guess
man.
we figured that. Hey,
maybe I think it's you.
So there's this thing going on that like it's really starting to tick me off a little bit.
Here we go.
No, we're gonna play pig. Okay. But I can't shave my head.
It's gonna be shave your head, and then it's gonna be called Off the Hair with Matt Randazzo, and you're gonna get all kinds of likes.
I was gonna say if I get subscriptions and stuff, like I'm game. But here I get wrapped up into it, and a buddy of mine said to me this weekend, "Why are you so angry about it? Because you're an elite shooter. You're a 3-time C League champion. There's banners. Like
That was D League.
No, C. You are going to win. So like I know the focus is on me and shaving my head." I don't get why nobody's even talked about like the alternative of you losing and what you have to do.
Where's it? I mean, it's a win-win for me, right? I'm not supposed to win. It's just like when you play that FCS school to start out the season, right? It's just you're the big D1.
How are you not supposed to win?
Power 5 school.
You're a professional athlete. You've been
No,
paid
not anymore.
millions
I'm a
upon
banker, and I
millions upon
wrestle.
millions of dollars.
No,
and you're a
dude.
former champion. You're a former professional wrestling champion.
World champion, please. World
Okay,
champion.
yeah, world tag team champion.
Thank you.
What you beat Vicious or Delicious? Which one did you pin?
Vicious and Delicious. I pinned
You
Delicious.
Have no idea. And I can't call you out on it.
Ja man, my man Ja.
Okay.
Front man Ja.
So what happens if I shock the world and I lose? I should be getting points. I should get like P. Or you should have P already.
Oh wait, so yeah, you should have P then.
No,
since
you should have P.
You're the D League champion.
C.
And here's the thing: I tried to play you all last week. and you on the podcast or whatever this thing is, you had said last week, "Hey, we're going to play this week, and then we're going to show it." And I said, "Hey, where's Dazzo?" And no response.
You never.
And then all of a sudden, you make up this thing that your kids are sick, and I'm sitting here. And I even said I play today. I told you I play today. You said no.
I can't. I got a Roto-Rooter guy in the basement. My kids are still. God knows if they're going to make it through the day. I just told him. I said, "Hey, if you feel bad, wait till 12:15 and I can come get you." But
you sent them to school. That's good.
No, they were good. They were good. It was all last week. The thing that got ruined was the Super Bowl party. Come on. God, you.
I also told my kids to dance.
Now that you mentioned it. That does sound like a bad parenting move. Now that you bring it up, that doesn't sound like the best thing in the world.
To be fair, I kind of did the same thing. My kids are a little stuffed up this morning. I just said, "Hey, if you're not feeling good, just go to the nurse and I'll come pick you up."
Yeah, there you go.
It's going around. It's going around.
You're going to get it one time or the other. You might as well do it. Here's my thing. God, I don't want to get going on this, but like, I just wish my kids would just do it all at the same time. When you have 4
Yeah.
kids and each of them are sick for like 2 days and they don't do it, it's like you're sick for like a week and a half. It's the worst. All right.
And that's always how it happens.
No, you're getting me to talk about something different than what we're here to talk about. What's going to
Dude,
happen?
I will play you. You're ducking me.
What's going to happen if you lose?
I don't know. Nothing. I'm not going to lose.
You growing your hair out doesn't do anything for anybody. I think your brother put on like my social media, like, get a tattoo or something like that. I'm like, what's wrong with you people? Like,
yeah, I think you should get a WQAD tattoo, WQAD for life tattoo on your arm if you lose.
I already have one. Come on, are you kidding me? After my 20th anniversary there, they bought it for me.
I'm
great.
sure.
Yeah, it's pink and
I'm
purple.
sure those big spenders over there really really splurged.
That's really good. No, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. So can we pin you down on something?
I told you I can do Wednesday.
No. What's going to happen if you lose?
I'm not gonna lose.
How
I'm
about-
like Cooper DeJean in the Super Bowl.
Would you stand on the corner of like Brady and 53rd for an hour with a sign that says "I lost to Matt Randazzo in basketball"?
An hour?
I'll get you a chair. You can sit.
Yeah, but it's cold. It's cold out.
We'll do it at a very like
Whatever.
yes
Yeah,
or no.
I'll do.
like,
Yeah, I'll do it. Whatever, because I'm not scared. Unlike you, that won't shave your head or get a tattoo.
If this is possible and this is something we might do, then I will consider shaving my head. I'm gonna be so I'm gonna be so nervous. Like I'm gonna be extremely nervous. Like
Yeah, and I want you to know that I
have you seen these ears? Like they're
honestly, your hair's got about 2 months left anyway.
that's
So
what
it's
I'm
like,
worried
dude,
about.
just
It's not gonna
get
come
ahead of
back. What if it
that's
doesn't
what
come
happened
back?
to me, man. This is why you never sneeze when you get a haircut, because then it's just gone.
All right. Well, we'll fine tune this stuff. But I can't. The 2 days you gave me this week, I can't do. So let's do next Monday at 1:00 at PepsiCo.
Oh, I'll have to look at my schedule,
Oh,
Matt. I'm a
Jesus.
very busy man.
I can tell. Look at, man. You look like. Nah, I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful. I sometimes forget that this is being recorded and put out to people because I almost said something pretty inappropriate. I'll tell it to you later.
should've.
I'll tell it to you later.
should've.
But nothing's been inappropriate so far. So why?
Yeah,
Why?
I know not to be, because I'm a veteran radio guy, so I know to keep it in check.
You're doing a great job. I had one other thing I want to talk to you about. Dolph wasn't on the call against Wisconsin. Boy, that basketball team, Pat. What's your thoughts on the basketball team? Go ahead.
I haven't really watched much.
It's a rough go right now. Women are playing good.
Yeah, that was a good win against USC. We talked about last week, and then what, they got Nebraska tonight, I want to say.
I don't know. I haven't looked yet. They beat Minnesota last week. But hey, Dolph had a
Minnesota
surgery.
was last.
Dolph had a surgery, so he's out. But he's back like right away next time. Like next game, he's supposed to be back. He is like what's wrong with him? He's a warrior.
Dude, he wanted to do the Wisconsin game too. Like he wanted to. And I'm like, Dolph, like, dude, like, just relax. The guy is a machine. He's an absolute machine. Tougher than heck. And this isn't the first thing that he's gone through. There's stuff that people wouldn't even know about that he's still worked through.
Like
the dude
what? Go ahead.
he loves Iowa sports, and he loves the athletes, and he loves university, and he's so loyal. You want to think about, the epitome of everything that, the coaches want to instill in you. Like he's got that. He's got the toughness. He's got the want. He's got the love for it. And that's the reason why, he's so good on the radio, because it really it matters to him. And, looking forward to having him back on the radio, because he's the man. It was good listening to Rob's sweet voice. But gotta get old Dolph back. We need Dolph.
You two sincerely get along really well, don't you?
Yeah, man, I love that guy, and hopefully he likes me. I think he does, but
I would think more tolerates than likes, but
yeah, definitely tolerates. My dog is really trying to get out, but Yeah, he's a beast, man, and I love that dude. And I like, there's certain people in your life that you meet that are like legends, right? And obviously, I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of them and be around them, but being able to work with him and be around him all the time, like that's awesome. It's something that I'll talk about him forever.
Do you say that after you get done doing this show on Mondays?
Yeah, yeah. I write it in my little journal. Hey, dear diary, you'll never guess who I talked to today. I was on Off the Hair with Matt Randazzo.
No, stop it.
XOXO.
We're not.
Smiley
We're not
face.
starting this off the hair shit. We're not. Not until it actually happens. You know what though? I bet it would. I might throw the game just to do it because I think
Just to get
it
likes?
would. Yeah, like there
Well,
was
so now you're just making excuses already before the game even starts. I know
You
exactly
noticed
what
that.
you
You
I know
noticed that.
exactly what you media guys are doing.
Can one other thing, and then I'll let you go. Pat Anger joining us on Off the Air. Oh, you have an anger management to get to, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
pulled the
Yeah,
open
I
up.
do.
So hold on. I do want to. I had one other thing. Can we play horse instead of pig?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. I'll beat you in anything.
You sound like my wife. My wife. That's an answer my wife gives me. Hey, can I go do this? Yeah. Well, that's fine. Whatever. Like that was the most unconvincing yes I've ever heard. I'm not going to ask her what I'm asking for. I'm just saying that's what I usually get out of every response of everything. But all right, we're going to do horse. All right, I'm going to play the open. I want you to clear your mind. God knows I'm trying to see if there's a close up that I can use of you.
No close-ups.
No?
I don't
sure?
need a close-up.
It looks.
Look at my eye.
Stop. All right. Well, let me see if I'm gonna try. No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna mess. I'm gonna chain. I'm not doing anything because if I do it, I'll mess things up. So when we come out of this open, give the people a life lesson that they need coming off of a Super Bowl weekend. So without further ado, our latest installment of anger management. If I get this thing to work, there you go. Here you go.
Media mogul, broadcaster of the next generation. I don't know. I just made that up. It sounded good. All right. This is one I wrote some of this stuff down because I just looked it up here, but it's a great quote. It's the day the blind man can see is the day he gets rid of the stick that has helped him all his life. And I like that quote because you can look at it in many different perspectives. You can look at it from the stick's perspective, and that's basically that. Hey, relationships are fluid. It People change, and it might not be you that changes that affects a relationship. It's like when girls would break up with you in high school, Matt. They would say, "It's not you, it's me." You know, and then you can say, get rid of things in your life that are no longer needed. But for me, I look at it as, be true to people that have been true to you, right? Be loyal to people that have been loyal to you. When I got drafted, my agent told me, he said, hey, if anybody from back home wants you to do an event or do anything, you do it and you do it for free because those are people that loved you when you were nothing and supported you when you were nothing. So be true to those people. And that is your anger management of the week.
First and foremost, your dog is behind you just being adorable. I didn't listen to a damn word you said. And then what I got the most out of that is that Pat Anger thinks that there were actually girls that dated me in high school. that never happened. God bless you. Hey, man, this has been fun. We should do this again next Monday.
Yeah, and hopefully there'll be something on the line next Monday.
Okay, so next. Oh shoot, I gotta find my. See, I'm a producer, I'm a director, I'm doing everything at the same time. We're gonna play next Monday afternoon. We'll record
Possibly.
it,
Well,
and
I'll
then
have to check my schedule.
we'll air everything. People are going to see all this kind of stuff and everything like that. The only way that we do this, though, is that if I get to 1,000 subscribers. No, I'm kidding. But if you're not subscribing, you're not going to know when we play, right? So subscribe.
Very true.
Yes. All right, Pat. Well, enjoy your day off in your mansion with your dog. And hopefully 2 of your kids call you and make you come get them from school because it's miserable. It's miserable. So, hey, pal, appreciate you.
Love you. Hey, keep living strong, man. Keep living strong.
Here we go. That is Pat Anger. Thank you so much now. And I should probably take a one shot. Let me take a one shot because now we see his. There we go. Boy, was that smooth. All right, it is Monday here in the Quad Cities. This is Off the Air. We got a lot more to get to. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk to Alleman head football coach Jeff Schmulbach. Made an announcement this weekend. It wasn't something decided this weekend, but a cool weekend to make the announcement over the Super Bowl weekend that varsity football will return in 2025 at Alleman High School. So Coach Schmulbach was nice enough to make the short drive to my house over the weekend and do a quick interview. So we'll have that Western Big Six football news, Alleman back on the varsity level coming up after the break. Still ahead in the show, Julian Vandervelde, former Philadelphia Eagle, will be along to celebrate a little bit as his Birds are Super Bowl champions once again. And then also in the second hour of the show, Moline's Braden Freeman will be here to talk about the milestone that was 1,000 points for him and a whole bunch more. So we're just getting rocking and rolling. It is a Monday on Off the Air. We will be right back.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. It's a Monday in the Quad Cities, and it's a good Monday if you're an Alleman fan or an Alleman football fan. Head coach of the Alleman Pioneers, Jeff Schmulbach, joins me now, and product placement is good today because there was a good announcement for Alleman football over the weekend. Varsity is back. To be able to make that announcement to that fan base, to that community, what was that like for you this past weekend?
Oh, it's been huge, and it's really, it's important for the kids. I mean, we've got a we've got a group of what will be seniors that realistically haven't seen a whole lot of Friday nights since they were freshmen. So, and we've had the schedule. We just decided this was a perfect time to make it public and show it out to the world. And we had our audiovisual guy, Chris Mandel, did a great job putting together commercial for us, and it was exciting. I haven't talked to many of the kids yet, but I'm hoping they were as excited as I was when they saw it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure they were. It's been, and like Alleman football, we're not going to sit here and dwell on what's been wrong and what's happened, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's important for you too, because a lot of people will go down that road about what has happened. Talk about what has happened in the positive way, because I've been around. Full disclosure, I have this because I'm an Alleman grad. I got a freshman that goes there. I got three more that are going to go there. There's a lot of good things going on that I don't think people get to see each and every Friday night. The numbers are getting better. The kids are working really hard, and it's been a process. It's been a sometimes frustrating one, but it's been a process that good things are happening. Right,
and I took the job 2 years ago. I knew full well coming into it what to expect and what the plan was. We weren't sure the timeline, if it was going to be 1 year just playing JV, and then it just worked out to where we had 2 classes back to back that we didn't have a whole lot of players. So we had 30 kids out my first year, only 5 seniors or 6 seniors. This year we had 40 kids out, but it was the same 6 seniors.
Mm-hmm.
So it we're really, really young. Our numbers were up, like I said, up to 40 this year, and we're kind of, we might be reaching for, setting a little bit lofty goal, but I'd rather set a lofty goal than not. Our goal for this year for the next season is to start the season with about 60 kids. So we're still going to be really young, because that's 2/3 of that's probably going to be freshmen and sophomores, but the kids that are varsity aged have gotten a lot of practice in. We've played 2 full years of games for them at the JV level, and it's going to be a little bit of a rude awakening for them, Friday night as opposed to Monday night, but they're excited. I'm excited. Hopefully the whole community is excited, which the Alleman community, it doesn't take much to get them excited about football.
No, and you mentioned getting kids that, and you guys have done a fantastic job of making environment special, making homecomings, those kind of things special for what has happened the last couple of years. But you kind of talked about it. These kids want to play Friday nights. It's not always about wins and losses and coming back on the field. And you're probably not going to win a Western Big Six championship. I don't know. I don't put it past you. But with that being, it's about getting that experience of varsity football back at a school that has such a rich tradition in doing that.
Right. It's, I talk a lot about the kids, deserving this, but I think the whole community deserves to be back to watching football on Friday night, because Alleman football is, it's something that's just a little bit different, in the Quad Cities compared to a lot of the other football programs in the area. And the people that have come out and supported us these last couple of years have been tremendous. The numbers are growing, and not just at the high school level, they're growing at the junior level. I was starting to crunch the numbers, and we're going to be, if you count the high school and add the junior pioneers together, we could be at about 200 kids total in playing football next fall. So the support hasn't dwindled, and I'm hoping, that's why we're trying to, I've been working with Mark Van Natt, our athletic director, trying to make sure that every home game we have this year is something special for the whole community. And actually, we decided we were going to make our first night is going to be, we're calling it Community Appreciation Night, because we want to, just a thank you to everybody that's come out and supported us these last 2 years, that haven't given up on us. And we want to make sure that they understand how important their support has been in this rebuilding project.
And no, and I've had several conversations with you, and we've talked about that word patience a lot. And I know sometimes that can be frustrating and hard to do, but talk about what's that meant, because in order to do things, sometimes you want to do it quickly, but you have to do it correctly. And right. I feel like that's exactly what's happened. Talk about patience, and just sometimes you have to do it correctly, more importantly than quickly or anything else.
Mm-hmm. And I've got to give credit to the administration at Alleman for that. They've made sure to put that restrictor plate on me, so because I'm always wanting to push it and try to sometimes I've got to sit down and take a dose of reality, and it hasn't been the easiest process. I mean, our first year, the kids were just grateful to be playing football. Yeah. I mean, because they were on the verge of not having a team. So any sort of football was great. This year, it was a little bit more of a struggle, because we had kids that had done that, they had friends that are playing Friday night. We're practicing on Friday night, and trust me, there's nothing worse in the world than having a football practice on a Friday night when you don't have a game the next day on, sometimes these Saturday games. But when you know your next game's not until Monday, that Friday night practice, sometimes those were tough. So, it hasn't, I think everybody would have liked for it to go faster, but, Rome wasn't built in a day. Mm-hmm. So, and I've got to constantly remind myself that this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And the last thing we want to do is rush into something and then have it crumble and go right back down to square one. So, we're building up slowly, we're getting everybody ready, and hopefully, we've taken the proper steps to where, this year, we're not just going to have that varsity schedule, we've got a freshman schedule, and then as long as our numbers hold up, we should be able to play our JV games on Monday nights still as well.
I know that in order to do it correctly, you have to do it wisely, all those kind of things. I tweeted out because the video was really cool, and this was not a compliment to you, although it kind of was, but it's not just you, but the right people are in place. Mm-hmm. And it's not just, hey, Jeff Schmulbach's doing a great job. It's the entire, the familiar faces you see, the people who know what Alleman football is, your staff. Kind of talk about them because, like you mentioned, they want to go and coach, and just like the players, and they want to coach on a Friday night under the lights and all that kind of stuff. So while there's been some frustration there, they've done a great job of laying a foundation and knowing what Alleman football is. It's not just yourself or the players. Your staff's done a great job as well. Yeah, and
I've been lucky. I inherited some great, mostly Alleman alums that just want to see, what's good for the program and make sure that it keeps building. And some of them, most of them don't have a whole lot of football coaching, in a resume, but they're willing to learn. They're always asking questions, and they're doing everything that I could ask for them. And then we're starting to, as our numbers grow, that's kind of where all this started. I sent one tweet out with on the football page saying we might need, because I started doing the math, and we've got 5 or 6 coaches, and we're going to have 60 players, and that. We know we need almost twice as many coaches as what we have, and it was the response I got was insane, and I think we've got some really good candidates coming in, and I'm trying to put together a staff that can reasonably coach this number of kids at 3 different levels, and every person I've talked to, I sit them down and I'm like, you got to understand this is. You're coaching for a Catholic school. I'm not going to be able to pay your retirement money. You're not. This is not where you come to get the the gold-plated watches and stuff like that. and almost to a person, they've like, Coach, you don't have to pay me anything. I just want to see this program get better. And it's that kind of response. I've got a couple that might even be coaching elsewhere that are Alleman alums. That, hey, when I got some time in the summer, can I come help you out? Then so there's a lot of people that want to see this succeed, and that's kind of made my life easier. But then it's I've mentioned, like, people say, well, it's kind of a no pressure job, right? I'm like, well, no, it seems no pressure until you start talking to everybody that how important this program is to so many people. So it's not where. Yes, getting back into Friday nights is a small victory, but it's more than that. It's getting the kids prepared. It's going out and not just being on the field, but being competitive on the field and doing everything in our power to go into every game thinking we have a chance of winning it. So that's my new goal right now, is to get our kids to the point where we're playing Moline, we're playing Quincy, and they're a giant school, and we're not, but David beats Goliath all the time. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, absolutely. We're joined now by Jeff Schmulbach, head coach of the Alleman football program. Alleman back playing varsity football in 2025. When you look at it too, I saw Riverdale on the schedule as a scrimmage, and that's there's not too many more people I have more respect for than Guy Derrick's, just in general, just a great human being, but also a really good football coach. And they did the same thing. They went down a similar road, and you're not alone. Like there's teams around the state that have gone through this. Have you watched from afar, or maybe even watched from close, and kind of pick brains of some of those programs that have had to do this, with Riverdale maybe being one of them?
Yeah, I talk to Guy frequently, and I've had a chance to watch his team the last few years. my son is a senior at Rockridge, or my stepson is a senior at Rockridge, and he's played Riverdale the last few years. So I saw them as the fresh soft only squad and moving up. And I saw them this year. I think Rockridge played them week 1 or 2. It was early on, and I've kind of said to myself, well, actually, I saw them at obviously we scrimmaged them last year, and after our scrimmage, I'm like, this is a possible playoff caliber team, and they were a couple of extra points away from making the playoffs this year. So that just goes to show that, if you get the right people in and they can convince the kids that, you're not what people think about, people have thought about your program the last few years. You're what, you make your own story. So, that's our kids this year. It's their job to choose whatever kind of story they want to write with this season.
You mentioned like the narrative outside. The narrative outside might be one thing. What's the narrative like inside that program? Because, there are a lot of doubters. There are, people questioning, will they play, won't they play, all those kind of things. I feel like the kids inside the program are excited to get going and confident about what they might be able to do. Yeah.
And, it's one of those things where you have to convince them that they can do something, and my philosophy has always been with football, you keep it as simple as possible. You rep the same thing over and over and over again to where the point where your players aren't thinking about what they have to do. And if we can get our kids to that point, we should be able to be competitive with just about anybody we play, because, if the kids have confidence in what they're doing, it's not about having 75 different schemes that you can attack. If you have a few things that you do well and and your kids know what they're doing and they have confidence in what they're doing, then they go into that game, and it's one of those things in football, anything can happen. Yeah. So that's our plan, is to get our kids confidence in themselves, confidence in what they're doing. And, the big thing this year is kind of selling that we've got to do it all together. The last couple of years we might have been able to get by having one or two people that are standouts and, kind of get so-and-so the ball and they'll just create something. But when you're playing Friday nights, you're playing varsity football, it's going to take all 11 guys out there doing exactly what they need to do. So that's our big push this year, is to make sure that everything we do, we're doing as a team.
Well, I know it's never about you. It's not about you, all of those kind of things. But what has this process been like for you? Because now, you want to hit the ground running. You're a varsity head football coach in the conference that you talked about, the tradition and what it means. There's not a lot of people on their resume that has head coach in the Western Big Six for football. And you look at some of the history of the league and the conference and all that kind of stuff. Now you get to do that at the ultimate level as a varsity coach. What's the journey been like for you? I know it's not about you, so I'm going to let let it be about you for a second. What's this been like for you, and how excited are you to get to be on the sidelines on a Friday night at Western Big Six school with a lot of tradition?
Well, first off, I guess I'm fortunate that I don't have any more hair to lose. So, because once again, the stress of just the tradition of this program. Every day I walk in, we walk down the steps to the locker room where the coach's office is, and you have to walk by all the pictures of the playoff qualifiers and the state championship game competitors, and you see Coach DeJager, Coach Tracy, and all those guys staring at you, and it's like, it's humbling to be on the same sideline as those guys, just legends of the game around here, and all the work that all the coaches at Alleman have done. It's something that it's an honor to be there, and and then the other thing is, with my dad being a longtime coach, he was a head coach at the high school and the college level, just trying to walk, just like fill half of his shoes. He was and he was able to help us out last year. I'm hoping he'll help us out a little bit this year as well. Just kind of, and some I'll have people go, I remember when your dad was coaching, you looked just like him on the sideline, and like that's literally the best honor you could give me. So that's I'm hoping that all these coaches that I've kind of grown up under, I'm hoping that I between the Alleman coaches that I've known forever, my dad, Coach Reed. I've been fortunate enough, Rick Amy out at Rockridge, the coaches that I grew up underneath, the ones that I learned from, the ones that I played under, they've set they've set a bar that I'm just still trying to have an attempt to grasp, because they were great coaches, and if I can get to the point where I'm even somewhat mentioned in that group, I'll be honored.
What will Monday or this week be like at Alleman High School? You guys knew that this was coming, so it wasn't like a shocking announcement. I'm assuming they didn't turn to social media and go, "Oh my gosh, we're officially doing it." But now that it's out there and people can talk about it, and full disclosure, we're recording this over the weekend. It's not Monday; it's over the weekend. What will this? Will there be? Do you expect a little extra pep in the step, or a little extra vibe at the school now that it's officially out there and football's back varsity wise at Alleman High School?
Well, hopefully they'll now believe me fully, because there was some that are still, it's like, I've got a couple that, they were the ones really just wanting to play Fridays this year, and come, Coach, serious now, are we playing varsity next year? I'm like, yes, you can look at the schedule. Yeah, but are we playing? It's like they'd ask me 3-4 times a week, and first, and I don't work in the building, so anytime I'm there, anytime I see them, same thing. Are you sure we're playing varsity? So I'm hoping that with this, those questions will go away, and instead of that, they're, I can look at them and say, now, are you ready to play varsity? Because that's where we're at right now. And now that we are playing varsity football, we got to make sure that we are prepared to play varsity football. And it's going to be a lot of work. And Alleman, they embrace the small school atmosphere. So most of my football players are, especially right now, this is kind of the worst time for a football coach, because you've got basketball, wrestling, track, and baseball all going on at the same time. Yeah. So I have very little control, or even unless I go to their games, I don't see these kids hardly at all. So as spring rolls around, I'm hoping to see more and more of them, and we'll, as soon as when they're not in their sport, we're going to get them into the weight room, get them start going, and like I said, we're down to where we've got months to prepare now instead of years. So it's kind of crunch time. So I'm hoping these, especially the juniors and seniors, are up for the challenge.
Be a few more before I let you go. So not a lot of people know a lot about Alleman football these last couple of years. And I've been to some of the games and the fresh off games, and there's talent. There's our junior varsity games. There's some talent. Tell us about some kids that maybe you're excited about. I don't want you to single out or pick out anybody, but familiarize us with a name or two that people may hear a lot on Friday nights, or maybe you expect a little something from on Friday nights.
And for those that haven't been there, it's not your traditional Alleman football. It's not going to look the same as what it did. We do run the ball. We're still a run-orientated team, but we do like to throw the ball a little bit more. We've got some pretty good guys.
Now, did you get that approved by the diocese? Did you?
I talked about it in the interview. I did not mention it to Father Mirabelli, so I don't know if I was quiet when I was talking to him about that. So, but everybody else knew what I had in mind.
I like it.
But yeah, we'll have some really strong senior leadership with Adam Van Meegen, Kyle Bowden, Will Otten-Tomes, who's Will is the question guy. Every time I see Will, Coach, are you sure we're playing varsity? So those three guys are some of our leading skill guys on offense. As seniors, we've got a really strong, will be junior quarterback in Kelly Hornert, and we've got some solid offensive linemen that, we're never going to be the biggest offensive line, but they're going to be physical. They're going to play fast, and we got guys like Robbie Wolf and Jack Rogers and Luke Hoffman, guys like that, and then we've got a bunch of younger guys coming up as well, and we had some kids. We had like any other football team, we had some injuries last year. We had some guys step up. And hoping to see more of them, like Andrew Schultz was kind of unknown last year, and then when Kyle got hurt at running back, Andrew had to come in, and I had coaches at a couple of games angry at me. They're like, why are you running your senior running back at the end of the game? I'm like, Coach, that was a sophomore. Yeah. I'm sorry. Nice, He's just a really big kid, and I think we've got a very strong core of guys that are it's not quite the same battle as what they're going to see, but they are battle tested. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they grow here in this, in these months leading up to the season and when we actually get on the field.
All right. Before I let you go, What will that first Friday night like be for you? Do you think about it? If you have a countdown, is it like days before game one? And if there's not, you need to get one up, like a board or a tally board in the locker room, getting people ready to go on when it returns.
I haven't started the countdown clock yet, but I'd be lying if I didn't say that most mornings when I wake up, football jumps into my head pretty early. It's kind of, it doesn't take me long to wake up, because when I open my eyes, I start instantly thinking about, okay, what do I need to get done today? Because while August seems like a long ways away, there's stuff. It is one of those where I don't know if I can take a day off, and if I take a day off, then oh gosh, now I got to work double tomorrow. So it probably occupies a little bit more of my time right now than it should. But I'm hoping, once we get coaching staff figured out, once we get everything else in line, it should settle down. So when here in the springtime, we can focus on just getting the kids ready and roll into summer and get ready to start playing here this fall.
He is Jeff Schmulbach, the head football coach for the Alleman Pioneers, and somebody who didn't complain about coming over to the house, because we live in this beautiful area called South Milan. Taylor Ridge, this beautiful area. So I appreciate you. Best of luck. We'll talk real soon, and I'll keep this up here and make sure we're ready to rock and roll. So
we'll get you some more stuff.
There you go. As much I am all about swag. Free swag is the best swag. So anyways, we got a lot more to get to. We're just getting warmed up on a Monday edition of Off the Air. We'll be back right after this.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air on a Monday here in the Quad Cities. The Monday following the Super Bowl in which the Philadelphia Eagles are your Super Bowl champions once again. Fly, Eagles, fly. My good friend, former Philadelphia Eagle, former Hawkeye, former Central Blue Devil. Oh, I didn't change the name underneath your screen. So as you keep talking, I'll change. You are not petting. Hey, I've called people bad things in my life. That's the meanest thing I've ever done. I apologize. Julian Vandervelde joins us now. Julian, how was your evening last night watching the Eagles and Cooper DeJean?
You can leave that name up there. We're both old, fat, and bald at this point. I mean, there's no point in changing. We're practically.
What's that? Boom! Changed it. Look at it. Look at that.
Beautiful.
On the fly.
It was. I'll be honest with you. So I was more focused on the food at first. We talked about food the last time I was on the show.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing when I got there was I was going through the checklist of the things that we had talked about. Like what are the things, the must-haves, right, at the Super Bowl party that we were at. And I was like, okay, what would Dazzo like here? What did I like here? I'm sure we're going to talk after the game. I'm gonna give him a food review. And so I was real kind of, chilling everything. I was watching the game like, hey, things are going okay. When Coop pick-sixed that thing, I mean, I was sitting on the floor. I jumped up faster than I've moved since my playing days and was like running circles through this house. Fist pumping in the air, trying to not run over little kids. Like it was, that was the thing that locked me into the game. From that point forward, I was like, I don't care what the outcome necessarily is. Like that moment is the moment that's gonna stick out for me. And thankfully, it just continued in that same vein from that point forward. An absolutely astounding game. by the Eagles, specifically their defense. I know we all knew Jalen Hurts was going to get the MVP, but let's talk. I mean, the real MVP, Vic Fangio and that defense, the front four, or they rotate so many guys into that like Iowa does, right? It's basically a front eight.
Yeah,
outstanding game from the Birds, top to bottom.
It was amazing, and we'll start with defense because, it was one of those things where you can't give an MVP trophy to like one guy that had 4 sacks or 5 sacks, and I wish you could be like, and what bummed me out was a couple. I don't want to say cheap touchdowns late because Mahomes made some good throws, but the defense wasn't pumped and ready to rock at that point. But they almost held them to 6 points. I mean, to shut them out in the first half of the game. And they did it. We talked with Pat Anger earlier in the show with just that front four. That's an impressive performance. It's almost how it's a copycat league, and not like it was like they unveiled that getting pressure to a defense is important on a quarterback. But like, I'm sitting there as a Lions fan going, man, if they have Hutch and Aleem McNeil healthy, if they can go get Myles Garrett, like that's what they have to do. Like, I'm already thinking like, how can you make yourself more like what you saw there? They controlled what happened in that football game last night.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's how you have to do it almost. Andy Reid is so creative, and Patrick Mahomes is so, explosive isn't necessarily the word, because they have their explosive plays, right? They lost their speed guy, and then they went out and they got Xavier Worthy, and so they got another speed guy. So they've got downfield potential, certainly. But the thing that kills you, I feel like, with Kansas City is, Travis Kelce is almost always open. And, Patrick Mahomes is so good with his legs being able to escape and just get a cheap first down or two by running the ball that keeps drives alive. And so if you're blitzing constantly, if you're bringing a lot of pressure, you're putting people in one-on-one situations with, their receivers, with Travis Kelce, with their better targets. And if you don't get home, then you've got people playing man behind it, and Mahomes is running all over you, or you don't have anybody, sitting there watching. You can't afford to spy him necessarily all the time. So the fact that the Eagles, and what I will say about it is what it reminded me of, and this was brought up by one of the other coaches at Central. We all had a text group going because 4 of us are Chiefs fans, 4 of us are Eagles fans, and then there's a couple like Raiders fans and a couple of Bears fans, right? So it's a little mix. That's basically the only teams that we root for. But one of the Chiefs fans brought up in the first quarter, he's like, this reminds me an awful lot of the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, when I think the Chiefs were missing their 2 starting tackles in that Super Bowl. But basically what it did was it created an environment where Mahomes never looked comfortable in the pocket, where they were collapsing the ends, right, and bringing pressure with just 4 guys and playing zone behind it, and it allowed him to double up his top receivers and play over the top and underneath, and and get eyes on him without needing a dedicated spy, because in the zone everyone's kind of watching the quarterback anyway, and so when you collapse that pocket and you don't let him run, you eliminate one of the most dangerous things about the Chiefs, and it really did feel like that, where that dominant defensive front, just the 4 guys being able to get pressure, the challenge that was put on them, freed up the back end of that defense to have a numbers advantage and have a leverage advantage, and eliminate their passing game effectively. And they just didn't have, and I don't know that they tried necessarily. That was another criticism, was I don't think they really dedicated themselves to running the ball almost at all.
Yeah.
But they just didn't have the ability to grind the ball down the field and feel comfortable with that style of offense. And so the Eagles were able to pin their ears back, get in that pass rush mode, and just play coverage behind it.
Oh, I think the only thing I got out of all of that, not the only thing, but the main thing I got out of all of that is that there's like 17 coaches on the Central coaching staff when I started doing the math of 4 and 4 and 2 and 2. Anyways, no, you're exactly right. And so often we're told like you can't win the Super Bowl without an elite quarterback. And that's not a discussion for Jalen Hurts, because I don't know if he's elite or not, but he sure looked damn good last night. But it's to the flip side of it that you can beat an elite quarterback if you can get pressure on said quarterback. And I think it's an interesting way to look at things moving forward. You know, so often in the NFL, it's a copycat league, and it was about offense and all those kind of things. Remember, running backs were garbage like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like the Lions got just destroyed because what are you doing taking Jahmyr Gibbs so high? And now you watch this draft process. Caleb Johnson's going to make a lot of money because one, I think he's really good, but like there's a lot of good running backs, and people look at what the Eagles did this year by running the football first, by playing good defense, and it's a copycat league. Julian, I wanted the pick six from the former Hawkeye to be Jack Campbell or Ben Neiman. Like I wanted that. I appreciate you and your Eagles, but I wanted it so bad it didn't happen. But with that being said, like you looked at social media and it was like 4 letters, Coop, C-O-O-P, all over the place. Just you talked about your reaction, but that guy has changed this defense from when he got healthy and got on the field. Now, trust me, that defense is loaded. He's not but for a guy to come into this league, and you know that league, you were in that league, and have an impact the way he has at a position that he's probably not supposed to be. He's a safety, remember? He's not good enough to be a corner. That's impressive. Like, your thoughts just on Cooper DeJean, baby?
I mean, Cooper is, I think what Cooper provides, kind of in the same way that you talked about, the running back position was very understated, we'll say, just a year or two ago, like you were talking about, right? The people were talking about, running backs shouldn't be getting paid. You can put anybody back there. It doesn't matter, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And while a big part of a dominant running game is a good offensive line, at the same time, a running back who can make the first guy miss, because pretty much all blocking schemes, just based on the numbers game, you're either reading somebody or, there's an RPO attached to it, in the modern day of football. But for the most part, everything's always -1. Safety's going to come down into the box. You've got to have somebody who can either run over or run around the first guy. And if you can do that, then you're going to have success running the ball. And so running backs are kind of making a comeback in that regard. In kind of a similar way, I think for a long time, the slot corner, right, or the nickel was almost kind of a forgotten position for a while. For a while, everybody was running 4-3s, and it was you put a linebacker out there and you try and match up a faster guy on a linebacker. Then people started going to the 4-2-5s, and you get the like a safety would come in, or you'd get your third corner in there. But it was always just kind of that was your third corner, right? He wasn't your lockdown guy. It wasn't anybody on the edge, and so you had teams that were just eating off of the slot position, right? Being able to, the Wes Welkers of the world who could shake a linebacker and get open, anytime. Teams like Kansas City who put like Travis Kelce in that position, and it's like, oh, he's too fast for a linebacker, he's too big for a corner or a safety. What Coop, I think, brought in and provided was a legitimate lockdown slot guy, somebody who could play man on the quicker dudes, but could cover bigger guys, who wasn't afraid to hit, obviously, who had ball skills, who could play in the zone, who could pick a ball off and take it back, who had the confidence and the swagger that an outside lockdown corner has. And you take him and you put him in there in that third position, especially on a team that drafted Quinion Mitchell. So you've got quarterback 1 and 2 with him and Slay, and like the whole defensive backfield is insane.
Yeah.
But that extra piece in the day and age when everybody throws the ball, right? When the spread is so prevalent and RPOs are so prevalent, and that third receiver, that slot position is where you get creative, to have a guy like Coop who can basically cancel that out. It limits what an offense is capable of doing, and is going to make offense coordinators think in a whole new way. And I think that is something that may also trend in the NFL, along with, hopefully bringing back more of a running game, which I think would be a positive, shift, but that's just me as an offensive lineman. Having that third corner on the field who can be a lockdown guy in the slot, and really limit what a lot of offensive coordinators are trying to do with getting better matchups, with that slot position. I think that's going to, that may also trickle down throughout the rest of the league.
Julian, every school, not every, but so many colleges had dudes do great things yesterday. And I just didn't go, and maybe I don't follow the right people, but I didn't go onto social media and see Hurts from Alabama fans and what, and it's not like it's something different. Iowa dudes are all over the NFL. They have a good track record, but it's it's just a unified thing that there were probably Giants fans that were happy as Hawkeye fans that were happy that Cooper did well. It's just it's a universal thing that when you're a Hawkeye and you go to that league, you have a tie to that guy. Talk about that, because you felt the love as an Iowa guy being in Philly and knowing that you're an Iowa guy. There's something to be said about Iowa guys in the league and how the league looks at them, and then how Iowa fans look at their own when they go to the NFL as well.
100%. And that was, I'll tell you, I get asked a lot, so who's your NFL team? And don't get me wrong, I will always root for the Eagles, first team that believed in me, right? Spent the most time there. That's always gonna, I think, be a team that I give preference to. But if I don't obsess over the NFL. I don't stress over the NFL, right? A Hawkeye game will determine my mood for the next 7 days. If it's the state game or the Nebraska game, it'll determine my mood for the next 365 days. So that stays, right? That is always there. So what I'll tell people a lot of times is I'm rooting for whichever team has more Hawks on it. That's usually the way. I would have loved a Buffalo-Philadelphia Super Bowl, because then no matter which way it came out, a Hawkeye was going to get a Super Bowl ring. I was glad the Eagles won, because it means Coop gets his. And I do think that there's something to that connection to Iowa fans, following Iowa guys into the NFL, and kind of the mentality that comes with it, the reputation that Iowa guys have. You want to root for him, especially a guy like Coop, who comes from, was it single A ball or 8-man or something, the lowest level of football, and just running around people like crazy to go from that tiny kind of subsection of Midwest Americana, and to rise up, to pick sixing on his birthday in the Super Bowl. That's such a solid, positive American dream, kind of moment. And I think it's really cool, that such a guy who is so humble and so classy is the kind of guy that gets to do that, and that we as Iowa fans get to root for him. I will say, we are also a little bit petty, though, because I can't tell you how many people I saw, post oh, Coop pick 6, and it wasn't a fair catch. We're never going to let that go. That's going to be out there forever. But I think that there's something to that, to the Iowa way of doing things, and the mentality and the fan base that we have, and the loyalty that comes with that, that we follow our guys no matter where they go, and wish them success all the way.
Julian Vandervelde joining us right now on Off the Air on a Monday. Julian, tell me about Eagles fans. I have a brother-in-law who's a diehard Eagle fan, and he's
Why would you do this to me?
He's a good dude. I love my brother-in-law. He's fantastic. My nieces are Eagle fans. They seem crazy though. Outside of that, can you? I don't want to say explain them to me, but you obviously got to know them, and they're passionate and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, explain Eagles fans to me. Are they as batshit crazy as they seem on the outside looking in?
Yeah, 100%. I think some of it is a byproduct of living in the city of Philadelphia, which is in and of itself an insane place. I always tell people it's a great place for a 4-day weekend. You go to Philadelphia, you visit Reading Terminal Market, you go see a game, some sort of sporting event, catch a concert or something like that, visit the historic areas of the city, and then get out of there. If you're not from Philly, man, if you don't embrace it and let it soak into you and become a part of that city, which is what turns you into a typical Philadelphia Eagles fan, then it's not for you, right? I always remember Jason Kelsey's chant from the last Super Bowl celebration. No one likes us, no one likes us, no one likes us. We don't care. We're from Philly, fucking Philly. No one likes us. We don't care. They embrace that so much in the city. That's the attitude, that's the mentality that they carry into everything. And it does lend itself to an absolutely fanatical passion. I mean, I remember us getting booed off the field during a game at halftime, a game that we were winning because we weren't winning by enough. Against a team that we should have, on paper been slaughtering. Like they always want more. And some people see that as a negative. Some people see that passion as as maybe stepping over a line. What I think though is that ultimately it's never settling. Right. It's a demand for more that as a player and as an organization you feel compelled to fulfill. And I think that ultimately, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing to have an expectation from a fan base that excellence, no matter how long it's been, right before the first Philadelphia Super Bowl a couple of years back, there was still an expectation every year that the Eagles should be in the playoffs. They should be making the Super Bowl. We want the Super Bowl. We want to win it. We want it. We want it. We want it. Whether or not somebody, you feel like they maybe, deserved it before that at any point in time, the desire was always there. The passion was always there. And that drives, an organization to never settle, to always be looking to be better. And that drives the players and the coaches to always be looking to be better. And they just happen to have found that mix. Jeff Lurie's put it together. Howie Roseman is doing probably the best job in the NFL of any GM of not just building for the future, but I mean, he's playing chess out here with some of these moves he's making, not just for the present, but for the future. They're doing such a phenomenal job of building that program and embracing the insanity of Philly and taking it with them wherever they go. I think that's what it really comes down to. Is it's just, if you're not from Philly, if you haven't spent significant time there, if you haven't lived there, you may not understand it, and that's okay. They don't care either.
And I think that's the beauty part of it as well. Julian Vandervelde joining me right now, and you mentioned it, Julian, that Eagles roster is really, really good. A couple things. One, they had to replace both coordinators, and they did so just fine, and they won a Super Bowl. And they're super talented. Like, that roster is just loaded from top to bottom. It was really well developed, and they're young, as young can be too, especially defensively on that back end. We're coming for you. We're coming. We're gonna replace two coordinators. We're gonna keep building that roster. We're coming for you. I can't wait. It's gonna be the best. The most important stuff with you mentioned. I don't know if you saw the beginning of the show, but it was a bad weekend at the Randazzo house. We all dealt with the flu, so we canceled our Super Bowl party, which was a bummer. And I had a piece of pizza last night from Benny's. It was delicious, but I had a piece of pizza, and that was it. So I need to ask you a few questions.
Yes.
How many
This is what I was waiting for.
How many wings did you consume? I doubt that you counted it, but estimate ballpark for me. And what flavor were they?
So here's what I'll say. I did not eat any wings. Here's the thing. We went to a Super Bowl party at a friend's house. And the instructions were basically like, listen, we're gonna, take care of most of the food. If you want to bring something to share, that's fine, BYOB. But as far as the food goes, it's like you don't feel obligated to bring anything. So we did chips and dips, and we brought some stuff, and there was I mentioned dip when we did our thing previously, and there was a very solid queso dip with chorizo and steak. And veggies in it that was really good that somebody else brought. That was really good. There were meatballs. We talked about meatballs a little bit as well.
Were there sliders?
We mentioned sliders. There weren't. You could make sliders if you wanted to. There were like Hawaiian rolls. The big thing I will say, and this isn't a must for me, but this replaced everything else. Was the guy whose house this was is like a grill, not a grill master. He's big into smoked meats. We'll put it that way, right?
I
Barbecue
love
guy.
Every friend group needs a guy like that. Am I right?
Needs that guy.
Yes.
This was that guy.
Love it.
Like we're talking about, they're like sectioning out, right? Like here's your St. Louis style ribs, pan of St. Louis style ribs, pan of baby backs, pan of fatty brisket, pan of lean brisket, pan of pulled pork, pan like sectioned out like 6 different barbecue meat options, and I probably had 2.5 plates of just the barbecue, not to mention like the meatballs and the
Yeah.
the desserts and everything like that. Like I replaced everything else on my list with the variety of barbecue that was there, and I am having a hard time moving today. I feel just
Did
it's
you
one of
do
those
a
things where
dessert?
in the moment you love it, and then you immediately know you're going to regret it the next day. I don't regret it, but I'm not feeling the best about
No,
myself
you know what?
at
Like
the moment.
I told Pat, like usually the Super Bowl is it. It's like, it's a slippery slope. It's like the fall starts, you start wearing sweatshirts, and then like it gets to Thanksgiving and you're not going to start working out and like eating, watching, and then the holidays hit and you're done with the holidays, and January is sneaky bad, man. It's sneaky bad. You have all the football all throughout the month on the weekends. You have the Royal Rumble and stuff like that you're going to want to watch and eat and stuff. And then the Super Bowl comes. And so usually like that's it. Like and being sick, like I haven't eaten much in like 4 or 5 days. So I feel like I have a jump start, but now you really have me thinking I need to like give myself a day because I missed out on too much stuff. Was there a dessert?
Yeah. Oh my God, they had trying to think. So different people brought different desserts. There was like the what do they call it? It's like crack, like Christmas crack or something like that. My wife has a name for it. I think that's what it's called. There was some of that. They had like the little individually wrapped cakes. There were like a weird assortment of cupcakes.
Oh.
2 different people brought like soft chocolate chip cookies that were really good. I mean, there was like Samoan bars. It was the lemon bars. Like I'm telling you, man, the spread was the star. And if Coop hadn't picked 6 that thing, I probably would spend most of my time around the table. That was that moment drew me into the game more efficiently than I think anything else did. But there was not a lack of good things to eat. So I agree with you. I think you need a day, right? Because I'm right there with you. I up through Christmas, try to eat right, can't do it, doesn't matter, every year, work out from basically January until like this national championship game, completely let myself go between the national championship game and the Super Bowl. And so now is my trajectory, right? I've got like 40 pounds I'm trying to lose this year. So this is really where it starts. For somebody who hasn't had that opportunity, I give you explicit permission to take like a couple of days when you're feeling up to it, man, and just go nuts. All right, it's on me.
How about we do this someday this week, because I'm feeling great now. You and I and TK, we can go hit that like a Chinese buffet over in Moline, and I'll get my feast there, and then we'll rock and roll. That's what we're gonna do. Before I let you go, did you watch the commercials, and did you have a favorite? And I'll be very honest, I didn't. I mean, like we weren't at a big party, but I just don't pay attention to commercials. That's just me in life. Like if a commercial hits, I'm doing something different. We have lucky to have a nice TV wall in the basement, so there's other TV, so I'm not watching. I went back and watched them. I noticed one, but I had a couple that I thought were really good. The Bud Light one with the cul-de-sac party with Shane Gillis. Yep. And then also, was there an Uber Eats one? I saw it on social media.
Yes.
That was outstanding as well. Am I hitting the 2 good ones, or am I missing one? Or 2 or 3?
Here's what I think you're missing. So a couple years back, I can't remember how long, it was a while back, Doritos, right, let fans basically like write, produce, shoot their own commercials, send them into Doritos, and then they took like the top 4 or 5 or whatever, and they played them during the Super Bowl. It was the best Super Bowl for commercials, bar none, that there has ever been.
Wow.
In the history of Super Bowls, the best. I've never recovered from that Super Bowl, and I've never understood why it never like came back. I meant like that was one of those the Doritos commercials were so good. I like the next couple times I went to the grocery store, I was like, you know what, I'm going to buy a bag of Doritos just because I appreciated how good those commercials were.
There you go.
Like it worked, right? Got me. It went away, and this year they did it again, where they let fans shoot their own commercials.
Okay.
And and send them in, and I don't know what the guidelines were, and they hyped it up beforehand. They had Chiefs. They did commercials beforehand about it, saying, "Hey, we were letting fans do the commercials." Where they had Chiefs players like reviewing them and stuff. But I think that for the most part, my favorite ones were the Doritos commercials. You let fans of your product get creative with it. Like you've got your marketing teams, like 5 people in a room, and they're talking, and they're like SNL writers writing out ideas. Okay, fine. You let the general public go crazy on something that they love, that they're not being necessarily paid on a daily basis to get after, and let those creative juices start flowing. The amount of insanity that rolls out of people's heads onto the page and then onto the screen, and then they just take the best of those, bro. Those, in my opinion, were the best ones. Because I agree with the Uber Eats. That I like their whole football was invented to sell food campaign that they're doing right now. The Shane Gillis one is fine. I'm a little over Shane Gillis. That's just a me thing. But I do think that the Doritos ones were absolutely on fire.
I am going to go check those out. And the cool part is that a fan did it, which you appreciate it more. If a fan was scoring a touchdown, you'd think that would be cooler than a football player. They're not. That's not what they do for a living. So, well, I appreciate this. I texted you last night and I was like, hey, I need to talk to an Eagle dude. And you're like, I'm in. So we'll do this again very soon because they love it. The people love you, Julian. I don't understand. I do understand it. I understand people still loving Julian. I don't get the anger or stuff. It's weird to me, but it is what it is. So I appreciate you doing this. And me and TK are going to hammer a buffet sometime here real soon.
You got to get me before I get back on my workout grind, man.
That's what we'll
do it. We'll do it before then.
Tommy's in Nashville. I think, I love how I'm talking to you like I'm on the phone and nobody else is listening. But Tommy's in Nashville. I think he comes back like Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll look at like Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. We'll figure something out here real soon.
You got it, my brother.
All right, brother. That is Julian Vandervelde, a very happy Eagles fan, as the Eagles are your Super Bowl champions. They house Kansas City last week. Well, we've done a ton so far, which is really, really fun. But we got more to get to because we always like to check in at the high school level, and it was a weekend full of milestones. Several players got to that 1,000-point mark. Rock Ridge's Caleb Kunico, one of them as well. Moline's Braden Freeman, younger brother of Owen Freeman, found that mark on Friday night. So we will catch up with Braden Freeman, my favorite Freeman, after the break right here on Off the Air on a Monday.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air on a Monday here in the Quad Cities. The Mondays following the Super Bowl, everybody a little slow going today, but a lot to get to, a lot to talk about, including high school basketball. We've hit the home stretch, and we're at a great time of the year where we see a lot of milestones as well, and that's what we saw this past weekend for this young man joining me right now. The better-looking Freeman brother is what I always call him. Braden Freeman joins us right now, and Braden, 1,000 points in your career. It happened on Friday night. First and foremost, congratulations. And when you hear that, what does that mean to you?
Thank you, first and foremost. It's just a dream of mine. It has been a dream of mine for a long time, and just to be able to hit it here with the community and the people that we met and obviously that accepted us is huge. So it's just amazing.
You say this community, kind of talk about that, because you and your entire family make the move to Moline, and obviously at the time that state championship comes, Owen gets a lot of the spotlight, but it was you're a state champion as well, and it was a good move for you. What was it about this place and this community that was right for Braden Freeman?
When we first got here, just how accepting the people were. And then eventually we just fell in love with the place that it is and the people that are here. So we couldn't thank them enough just for the hospitality and everything that they've already done for us. And to win a state championship for them and have consecutive good basketball years is just something that we can only bring to the community. So it's really special.
Yeah, and you look at that state championship seems like a long time ago. It was when you were a sophomore. You're a senior now, and you guys continue to do good things. Talk to me quickly about the milestone. Did you know? Were you doing math in your head? Did you know when it was going to be the next basket? And then obviously a little dunk to get the job done. That's better than a free throw, is it not?
Yeah. I didn't really know. I mean, I saw the scoreboard and they kind of had the numbers up there and everything, but I didn't. People asked me if I missed the free throw on purpose, but I didn't. But I got lucky with a fast break and I got it done, so I'm just happy about it.
Yeah, absolutely. We mentioned that state championship as a sophomore. You guys have continued to do good things. Kind of talk this year and your senior year, because you guys are making your own path. You're playing really good basketball right now. What does this senior group, yourself, Trey, and the other seniors, what kind of legacy do they want to leave at Moline High School?
Obviously, we want to play for another title, anything we can, as far as we can. I just think we have a really good group of seniors. We have a lot of guys on the team that are seniors, and we come in every day. We want to work hard. We have our ups and downs, obviously, but I think we just want to continue that Moline legacy and get some more championships. So
you and Trey's played a lot of basketball, won a lot of games. He's the winningest player at Moline. So obviously there's a lot of experience, but then you look down and there's a lot of youth as well. As a senior, you're not maybe the most vocal guy in the world. How do you lead? And do you and Trey and the other seniors have to take more of that senior leadership role?
Like you said, I'm not too much of a yeller or like that type of leader, but I think I've grown a lot in that. Trying to do better, talking through everything that's going on and stuff that coaches say, but I try to lead by example. Stuff we do in practice and always having a smile on my face, if that's just trying to hype another teammate up or giving them a high five or just telling them good job, keep it going, and just trying to build that relationship with each guy and just trying to be the best that I can for them.
It seems like every week there's another milestone at Moline. A few weeks ago I talked to your head coach, Sean Taylor, about win number 700, and recently he's become the winningest coach all time in Western Big Six history. I know he means a lot on the floor. What does he mean to you, not just on the floor, but off the floor as well?
He's such a good guy. He deserves it, obviously. He's a big role model for all of us on the team. His family, just everything they do for us and everything he puts on for us is just great, and couldn't thank him enough for taking me and Owen in and our family. So he's just, I don't really know how to describe it, but he's just such a good guy.
Yeah, he's a goofball. You can describe him as a goofball because he can be a goofball a lot of the time. Braden Freeman joining us right now on Off the Air. Braden, this Moline team, I think the team that won the championship, we kind of knew like what the expectation was, and there was high expectations, and you guys played good all year. This team has played good all year, but I think there's more left in the tank. I think it can go to better places. Is that a good assumption, a good description? And how much better can this team be through February and into March?
I agree with you. I think there is a lot left in the tank. Like I said earlier, I think we've had a lot of ups and downs. And comes a time when teams need to kind of have a talk and get to know each other better, and obviously play for one another. And right now, I think that's exactly what we need. We have our good games, we have our bad games, but to keep moving forward and keep winning games, we have to come together as a team, and that's something we struggled with the last couple of weeks and stuff. So I think it would be something to look forward to as we get closer and closer to that postseason, and hopefully winning regionals and all that and keep going. So it's just something we need to look forward to.
I had Brock on probably a couple weeks ago, and he talked about it's not acceptable to lose to Rock Island, I think is what he said. You guys made amends for that, and that rivalry is a rivalry you didn't grow up with, but you quickly learned about. What are those? I don't want to ask you about like beating Rocky, or I don't want to leave any bulletin board material or anything like that, but what is that rivalry like, and how quickly did you learn about the rivalry between Moline and Rock Island? And you did get the last one. That's a big thing too.
Yeah. I think it was really illustrated when we first got here. People from Rocky don't really like people from Moline, and people from Moline don't like people from Rock Island. Even if you go to Rock Island, you don't buy anything from concessions there. You don't give them any money. It's something that we learned. It's just, I think it's amazing. I think the competitive nature of it is awesome. It's obviously one of the biggest rivalries in Illinois. So just that whole atmosphere of the game and just bragging rights, basically, whoever wins, it's just awesome.
Braden, it was icing on Saturday. It's supposed to snow 6 inches on Wednesday. You're going to Cal Poly. Talk about that. And obviously you're not going because of the weather, but what is it about that place that excites you, that gets you on board for the next level? And then also, I've seen pictures, man. It can't help where you're going. That's got to help a little bit, right?
Yeah. First, I just thought that was where God wanted me to be. So I think that's just the main important thing. The coaches there, great people, great guys. They want me to play right away, and instead of saying they want me, they said they needed me. And that just kind of stood out to me. And obviously, I mean, like you said, the pictures, it's pretty beautiful. And the type of basketball they play is pretty similar to the up and down that we do at Moline, and it's just something I'm pretty good at. So, yeah.
No, it'll work out good. It's a good place for you to be. Braden Freeman joining me right now. And Braden, I got to ask you about that big, old, ugly brother of yours, because I saw after the surgery, I saw a picture, and how is he supposed to acknowledge you as his tribal chief when he's got a big old bandage on his arm and his hand?
I'm sure he'd do the same thing. He would try doing the same thing. So, yeah. I don't know,
he's just got to use the other hand to acknowledge you, correct?
Yeah, he can just do that.
Are you?
Sure.
You're a wrestling dork like me and like him, correct?
Yeah, I used to watch it a lot back in the day. I don't watch it as much now, but just kind of with Owen.
Did you when growing up? Did you guys have some fun One, watching it. Two, I'm assuming two big dudes like yourself probably caused some trouble if you were watching wrestling and possibly reenacting wrestling like my boys do.
Yeah, we had our moments for sure. Yeah, we used to mess around with it all the time, but we had all like the toys and everything. We used to like mess with our dad with it and all that. So just growing up, having that was kind of cool.
Love it. I love it. Before I let you go, now that 1,000's out of the way, now that college destination's out of the way, how important and how locked in are you, and how much are you enjoying these last few weeks, months as a member of a historic basketball program and a family that you become an important part of?
It's huge. I know that I'm never going to get these moments back, and especially with the guys in the locker room and the coaches that I have now. I just got to always remember that just take it one day at a time, live in the moment. Just understand that it could be over in a second. And obviously looking forward to everything that's in front of me, but just remembering that I'm here right now and just don't take it all for granted.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate you. Appreciate your family as well. Tell your older brother to get well quickly. Slap him around for me and remind him that you're the better looking Freeman brother. Don't let anybody tell you different. You're the better looking Freeman brother. All right.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. He is Braden Freeman, senior at Moline High School, a member of the 1,000 Career Point Club. We congratulate him. And of course, Moline, a big finish coming up to this season as well. We are just getting warmed up on a Monday edition of Off the Air. We'll be back right after this.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend, Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air on a Monday here in the Quad Cities, and a fun show it's been as we start off the work week. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your first day back after a fun Super Bowl weekend. Of course, the Super Bowl champions are the Philadelphia Eagles. No three-peat for Kansas City, and we've talked a lot about it on today's show. Of course, it's Monday, which means on Mondays we were joined by Pat Anger. We want to thank him for coming along. We talked literally about everything. In fact, some of it probably didn't make any sense, but great to have Pat on talking about Cooper DeJean, Iowa, all that kind of fun stuff, and the Eagles as well. Also, we're having a bet. Pat and myself are playing horse. We got to figure out what the loser is going to do. He wants me to shave my head. I really can't get behind that with the ears that I have. But trying to figure out what I should do, what he should do. So if you have any opinions on that, please reach out to me on social media at Matt Randazzo on Twitter. And let me know what you think we should do. We're hoping to have that basketball game on Monday next week. We'll show it to you. We'll have it all documented. It should be a lot of fun. Also want to thank Jeff Schmulbach, the head football coach at Alleman High School. Alleman back playing varsity football in 2025. So we talked Pioneer football here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. That was a lot of fun to do. So check that out if you missed it. Also, if the Eagles are winning Super Bowl, we have to talk to our resident Eagle player, fan, former player, Julian Vandervelde. Also great to catch up with him. Check out Julian's segment as well. And then, of course, last but not least, Braden Freeman from Moline after scoring his 1,000th point on Friday night. Nice enough to join us on the show as well. We are just getting started on a busy week. A lot of people we want to get to and talk to this week. And, well, most importantly, we want to talk to you. Thank you so much for all your feedback that you have given. Thank you for subscribing and following both on the podcast platforms and also on the YouTube platform as well. Do me a favor. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And if you have, make sure you tell a couple friends about what we're doing each and every day here in the Quad Cities as we talk local sports with some guests and a whole lot more. It's been a fun start to our Monday, and we are just getting warmed up. We'll be back with a brand new episode of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo tomorrow. We will see you guys then.